It's the Anfield Wrap. Neil Atkinson, Gareth Roberts, Ian Salmon, and Paul Senior, and we are in association with RedsBet. If you are going to gamble, please do so responsibly. There's more information on their website, but RedsBet are the gambling company wherein 50% of the losses do go back to Liverpool FC supported related causes. So if you do gamble, think about gambling with them. But as I say, please do so responsibly. We're here to talk about Liverpool 5, Watford 0. Liverpool 5, Watford 0, which you've just got to start in one place, Gareth. I mean, we can. There's a lot of room for analysis as to what Liverpool did well, what Liverpool did less well across the course of the game. We'll come into that, but we're going to spend the first 10 minutes here talking about exactly how good Mo Salah is. That's what we've got to do.
Absolutely. I mean, what a player we've got on our hands, and the record in a debut season is phenomenal. And I think you can't really overstate it. It's just to turn up in this league, and I know we had the little cameo once before, but look, there was loads of doubts around it, and I think you can hear it in things Klopp saying. They didn't expect for a minute that he's doing what he's doing in this league. They didn't expect for a minute that he's going to be getting 36 goals. I mean, in his career, the most he's ever scored is 19 for Roma. It's unprecedented in his career, and the idea that it's all this. I thought Klopp was brilliant on it actually. Like, he was quite honest in that he was like, look, when we signed him, we didn't expect this. We expected a lad who could score goals from the wing. But then he was saying, but once we started working with him, we thought, hang on, we can do something more with him. And aren't they just? But I mean, so much of it's down to him as well. And one of the things I was sort of nudging my mate about in the freezing cop was was the fact that all of a sudden now he's banging right-footed goals. And it's like, if you're a defender, you're just like, any chance, lad? I mean, you're going to work on it all week. You're going to watch the videos. You're going to try and work out ways you can stop him. But when he's putting people on his arse and scoring with his right foot now as well. And the other one as well is just something else. I mean, I've watched it so many times already, and I still don't. When I watched it live at the time, and when I've watched it since as well, I still don't know how he does it. It's not on. It's not on. It's not a goal. It's not there. There's no gap. And he finds one when there
He makes the keeper look crap. That's the thing, because the keeper's doing what you're doing, what I was doing, watching it going, well, you can't shoot here. Yeah. So the keeper ends up having this really pathetic attempt at it. And if you just saw that in isolation, you'd go, why hasn't he gone with his hands? It's not like he's hit it that hard. The keeper's just nothing he can do.
He's just not expecting it, is he? And no one's expecting it, and that's what's brilliant about him. I mean, running out of ways to sort of describe the way he plays football. I mean, the lazy one is everyone's comparing him to Messi, and I get why, and I don't think we should be going mad about that comparison, because that's an all right comparison, isn't it? He's actually scored more goals than him this season anyway. But it's the ball on the string type thing. It's the close control. It's the little extra touches all the time. You can see on defenders' faces almost that they think they've got him, and they're going in thinking they've got him, and he just always nicks it, and the margins are so fine. But he does it time after time to tell you that he knows exactly what he's doing. He does the chop on the first goal as well, which leads the defender. But the other one, I mean, the one you're on about where the keeper's like just bewildered by it all. Well, he's done that already to Spurs as well. I mean, this is no fluke. I mean, how do you stop the fella? He scored all different types of goals. Right foot, left foot. He scored one with his head as well. And it's a phenomenal season, and he's breaking record after record each week. And it's fantastic that he's in our side. And it's also fantastic as well that, Firmino can score a goal like he scores and no one's mentioning it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, what about this fella scoring for?
Gareth started that, Paul, saying, Klopp said it wasn't what we expected. Is it what he expected, Mo Salah? Because that's one of the. I'd love to. He doesn't do much interviews, doesn't do much press. Seems like quite a modest, humble fella, on the whole, anyway. But I'd just love to know the point at which during this season he's gone, hang on, I can really bang them in here. Has it happened before he's turned up? Was he thinking at times last season playing for Rome and I'm a bit frustrated? Has it happened when he's settled down and realised the players he's playing with? Has it happened when he's come up against a couple of sides and gone, hang on, these aren't the best? Or has it happened during the season? That's the thing that I'd love to know. When's he realised I can be this good?
I think if you go back to the summer and when he's making his decision that he's going to come back to the Premier League, I'd imagine there's a nervousness around it for Mo Salah. He's been here before, didn't quite work out, and I've heard people call him flops. I think he was doing reasonable at Chelsea, but he had just a wealth of talent ahead of him. He was young. The opportunity wasn't going to come, so he went back to Italy. He's rebuilt his career. And does he first go to Fiorentina? Does he go to
a season of Fiorentina and then goes to Roma?
Goes to Fiorentina, has a good year, and I think it's in quite acrimonious circumstances he signs for Roma. and has a great season, and that's obviously what draws Liverpool's attention to him. But I think when he steps into Melwood for day one and starts kicking a ball for Liverpool, I do genuinely think he's probably wondering, is this going to go the same way as what it did at Chelsea? Am I at that level? And from around the first pre-season game, I think everyone knew that he was going to do well. And then they were talking about the Player of the Year thing this morning on Sky Sports, and I believe it gets voted for in February. So I can only presume that there'd only be one winner, and now I think Kevin De Bruyne will win it. But since the turn of the year, I think he's stepped it up again. I think he's found a level of belief. Maybe that even when Coutinho goes, that he's become the number one man, and something that maybe people thought Sadio Mane has struggled with is in reverse is when Salah comes in and takes the goal scoring thing off him, but the mantle off him a little bit, that he's maybe struggled to hit them heights. But what I'm saying about Salah is I don't think anyone could have expected him to do what he's doing at the moment. But the thing is, it doesn't even seem like he's finished improving. Yeah, he's still got time on his side. So where you thought about Messi, when you talk about Messi, I understand that it's a very obvious and lazy thing to come to, but the sheer amount of goals, he's the only comparison, because people don't score 40-odd, in excess of 40-odd goals in one season. It doesn't happen. And him and Cristiano Ronaldo are really the only two examples you can go to for that level of goals. Harry Kane obviously scored a lot of goals in the last few seasons, but this, and if he stays fit between now and the end of the season, could be an absolute record.
It's the nature of the footballer he is, Ian, just to sort of, in Premier League terms, I think that's what Paul's, when he mentions Messi and Ronaldo are both footballers who can do the business right the way across the line in the front three and will get you 30 plus, 40 plus, and if you're Messi, it goes high, or in the past it has gone higher and higher. I think he is beginning to slow down a little bit now as he gets older, which is not unreasonable. He's still quite clearly the best player in the world. But Kane has been terrific. Even for us, Suarez was absolutely phenomenal in terms of a goal scoring return. But it's more where he's doing it from, and that's why those comparisons with those two wide players, and especially Messi, are coming in. It's because he's doing it off the right, he's doing it on his left foot. As Gareth said before, he can now go either side, and it's the way in which he's just leaving defenders absolutely on the backsides in the process of doing it as well. It's just a phenomenal performance.
He's become, I think, a fairly unique player within the Premiership. As I said, it's as lazy as the comparisons are, and I don't want to compare him to Messi because Messi's been doing this for a decade. But they are the only comparisons because he is coming from that position. He is cutting in. He's an absolute nightmare for defenders to deal with in any way, shape or form, because you don't know where he's going next. And as Gareth said, the fact that he scored this record number of goals with his left foot, and he's decided, well, I can do it just as well with my right foot. I can dance around it. And I think one of the great joys of what he's doing is when you were talking before about how he's embarrassing the goalie, how he's making the defence look bad, and how you don't know where he's going to go. I was sitting there going, are we talking the first goal or the third goal? Because they're both, it's applicable to both, and he's doing it for both. I think at the moment, I think he's got the potential to be the greatest player we've ever had on our books. I genuinely think that. My dad's point for years was for 3-4 years, Suarez, my dad had seen everybody from the 50s onwards, and obviously, he'd seen Dalglish in the flesh, same as I saw Dalglish in the flesh, and his take was Suarez was the greatest footballer, the greatest, most naturally skilled footballer that Liverpool had ever had. Above Dalglish, above anybody else, Suarez was the one. And I think if we can keep Salah fit and we can keep hold of him, I'm not going to go into that, can we keep hold of him? Why would you not want to stay playing for Liverpool if you're having this much fun as a footballer and this much adoration? And probably knowing that the reason you're doing so well is because the way the team has been tweaked to make you play that well. I think we could be looking at the best footballer we have ever had, bar none.
The thing for me is, when we sign him, you look at your front three from last season, Coutinho, Firmino and Mane.
He's the addition, isn't he?
Well, yeah, he's the addition, but my point is more that you're not totally convinced that he's not being bought as cover. It's £38 million in the market where, Johnny Lindelof is going for that sort of money. Is
Lindelof's first name really Johnny?
No, it's Victor.
All right, sounds. Yeah. I've actually been wondering that for a while because everybody calls him Johnny Lindelof, and I've been thinking I'm sure it's something else, and Victor was in my mind.
Yeah, it is Victor. I just prefer Johnny. I think he goes for £32 million. There's players being bought in excess of the money that we pay for Mo Salah who are far, far worse.
Well, Sigurdsson.
Yeah, exactly. So there's
Okay.
probably £10 million worth of difference between them two, and the impact is immeasurable. But my point is, you think you get a player that we're talking around the January time and the Sunderland fixture last year. You go, if Mane goes, we're a one-pace football team. You've got real issues, and you go, well, at least if Mane's not fit, then at least Salah's quick, and that's sort of like your opinion that if he does well, fine, but he's fast anyway, so at least we can put some pace into the side if Mane's not fit. And to come and exceed what was an unbelievable season last season for Sadio Mane, and then be far in excess of that, and I'm talking far in excess of what Sadio Mane done last year, it's just absolutely unbelievable.
But then to look back to in August, most of us were sitting there going, this Salah looks fast, he looks good, but he doesn't have, need to sort his finishing out, which is possibly the most ridiculous standpoint anyone's ever had now.
It's 4 goals and 4 shots yesterday. The turning point for me is it Leicester, where he scores that header, and there's some pace on the ball and he gets on that and you go, yeah, I think after that game I walked out of there going, he is the real deal, this lad. He's gonna be so important for us. And the other thing is as well, I mean, we sold a footballer for best part of £150 million in January, and we haven't thought about him since. And that's the level of impact he's having.
He's great to play for everyone else as well, though, isn't he? That was something that I sort of got onto a little bit on Saturday, and that the conditions were awful. It was absolutely freezing, which I've already referenced, but I can't overstate how freezing it was.
The coldest day ever.
Unbelievable for March as well. Anyway, but you could see players going on their arse on the snow. It was a slippy surface. It wasn't the best. It was absolutely freezing.
I'm not giving that defender an excuse. It wasn't the snow. It was Mo putting on his arse.
A few of the others had just slipped in general play, though, is what I mean. But there was a few balls I thought in general on Saturday that weren't the best. But Mo makes them look good. Do you know what I mean? With his pace, with his anticipation, and he pulls one in that Henderson over it and keeps it in on the line, and then and then he's away, and he was tireless, and he's tireless in his running. And also you can see from Mane as well. Like Mane knows where he is all the time now. I think Klopp mentioned a little bit of that in his press conference as well about the understanding's there now, and they're just hitting spaces sometimes with the passes, knowing that Salah's there. They're not even having a look.
Mane's ball for the first goal is magnificent.
Yeah, it's superb. But he does one. He actually does one. It was 3.5 minutes, wasn't it? The first goal. He actually done one before that.
Yeah, he did one about 2 minutes, didn't he?
Where Salah tried to find Emre Can, but that was a good ball as well. And that's what I mean. There's little patterns of play now where you can see, they've obviously worked on it. They're linking up fantastically. And as you said before, Ian, it's sort of testament to the work that's gone in between them all now. It is all set up a lot of the time for it to end up at Mo's feet. And I thought Watford tried different things with them, and none of them worked. They tried going a little bit higher at times. Mo nearly catches them in behind, and I think he was flagged offside on that one. It really is a question of what you do. And I watched some highlights back, and they were saying, well, Watford could double up on them. Well, we'll go at them because Firmino's decent, and whatever you do, Liverpool pose a lot of questions for you, don't they?
One thing it reminded me of when I was watching the game back, Gareth, was the old clips of Rushy in the ice at Villa Park. And what I mean by that is, you think about, we've talked about the first and the third goals, but think about the second and the fourth. In the third goals that strikers score, the strikers' goals, one's a tap in from 6 yards, the other one's a rebound off the keeper. And they all count one. It's important to say that they all count one. And that was what was, rushing through my mind there is the idea of, well, these are the conditions, and I right now this fella's trying to be the best goal scorer in the country. But you can discuss where he plays till the cows come home, but he's trying to be the best goal scorer in the country. And it really did make me think of Rush. And you think about that day that the old clips of Rush at Villa Park. There he scores every type of goal, and there's an element, isn't there, of him when Ian's talking before about how good he can be for Liverpool, and comparisons are difficult because he is his own man, but he is combining a lot of strengths of a lot of people who've played in attack for Liverpool.
Yeah, definitely. And also as well, it looks to me that he's buying more and more into the other work now that he has to do, if you like, because there's a moment there where, it goes all the way back to sort of full-back position to win the ball back. And you could see the players literally applauding them on the pitch for doing that. And I don't think he's always done that while he's been here.
Henderson made a big point of it. It was right in front of me. Henderson made a big point of it.
And, you know, you've seen Firmino do it. That's part of his game. Klopp referenced that and said that was why he brought him off as well. Like he said, basically, you can't tell him to calm down and stop running everywhere. That's just part of his game. And so he knew that the only way to get him to stop running everywhere is sub him off. Go, come on, lad, you've done enough. And he left Mo on. And but you know, the fact that he's doing that now as well, it just seems more and more he's buying into it. But yeah, I mean, he's got pretty much everything in his locker. We keep saying, and everyone keeps saying, oh, he's not a striker. And there have been times where he's been a little bit wasteful. And, you know, Rush has got 47 in a season, hasn't he, for Liverpool? I think that's the record. And there was a time, you know, I can remember what I was fortunate enough to watch Rush, and like, you know, he was just machine. Like he didn't seem to miss really. And you can't really say that of Mo. But as you said before, Paul, on Saturday, he was pretty lethal there.
If you look at his fourth goal, which is a tap in, that's one where I sort of understand where his confidence is. I think some people maybe take a touch in at that. He just rifles it. Literally just it looks just like the most easy tapping in the world, and it probably is. But the sheer velocity he just puts behind that ball, he absolutely smashes it in. There's so much confidence in him, and that's what's apparent.
That you say that he doesn't take a touch, and the other comparison point, you know, has been Suarez, has been Dalglish.
Yeah.
Where there is a similarity on both of those, I think, is how early he's taking stuff. He's getting shots away when goalkeepers are expecting. You mentioned that for the third, but Paul's right to mention it for the fourth as well. Shots are coming when goalkeepers aren't getting any chance to set themselves. And you think about Dalglish at his best. That again was something that he was brilliant at. Suddenly, before you know where you are, some fella's having a shot at you. You don't think it's there, you don't think it's on, but he's managed to create the space that he needs in order to do that.
Yeah, he's playing completely on instinct, and his instinct is obviously fantastic because he is, as you said, he's taking everything early. But one of the things that we isolated about him when we first watched the show reel, when we knew that he was actually signing, we watched the show reel. One of the things we isolated was this lad knows when to arrive in the box, and he was getting on the end of loose balls all the time. So seeing him on the end of a loose ball, to see him on the end of a loose ball for the fourth. I think it's Milner plays the ball through to him. And that little flicked pass, the first pass he plays through to Danny Ings, sets Ings up perfectly. And then he's just following him perfectly. His instinct for being in the right place at the right time is absolutely unparalleled at the moment than anyone we've got.
On that one, though, I think the manager's got to take a bit of praise because that front three, and David Moyes referenced it perfectly after West Ham. He described it as a narrow front three. I've sat at the last two home games in the Kenny Dalglish stands, the old Centenary stands, and I've sat all my life in the Kop, so I've been watching the game slightly differently and from a different angle. They are really compact. So this isn't a 4-3-3 where there's two wingers. This is for 4-3-3 now with two forwards. The only thing I'd say is that Mane, in some instances, is dropping off to be the number 10, and it's allowing Salah to get closer and closer to the goal. Now, I remember reading something on Torres when Benitez first signs and he first comes to Anfield, and Torres was a bit like on rear Atletico Madrid, and he'd pull away and pull into the channels, and Benitez was going, you're too far away from the goal. You've got this striker's instinct, and you're spending it taking on fullbacks. Penalty, almost don't go further than the width of the penalty box, and Salah's getting that way now where he's becoming narrower and narrower and narrower, so he's not a player who's playing on the right anymore. He's right of a proper three up front, and this is helping him.
But even that is being tweaked because there are moments on Saturday where we've got a number 9 playing in the number 8 position. Sadio's come off the left to play the number 10. We have one striker and he's playing out to the right. So if you're a normal defensive four, how do you deal with what is basically a diagonal line attacking you and you don't know where any of them are going?
One good signing doesn't make a summer, but there's praise also due to Liverpool's faceless hordes at times on this one, Gareth. You know, it's frustrating. It continues to frustrate in the past. The number of people in the hierarchy of Liverpool who don't come out and make themselves known and have a chat, because I don't think that it's unreasonable that people would ask that. I think, you know, we can have the mythology that, you know, everyone's only there to, you know, the team's all that matters and the Shankly Trinity, but it's a different era now, and we all know that. But what is, you know, being pointed out, and we're going to come on and talk about Van Dijk as well, and I think that's the manager in terms of saying, I want the man I want. But with Salah, you know, it does seem as though, what you can say is it does look as though Liverpool's transfer system is working really rather well between those guys, the manager himself, undoubtedly his team, what he feels as though he needs. You know, we've talked down Liverpool in the transfer market and how they go about the business on this show, you know, since we started back in 2011. At the minute, it's worthy of praise.
Yeah, absolutely. And it does seem a real sort of determination to, as you say, to just get it right, not gamble. You know, we all lost our heads, or a lot of us lost our heads, me included, by the way, when Coutinho's going, just about an attacker or a player of that quality leaving in the middle of a season when we had so much to aim for. And I don't think those concerns were unreasonable. But obviously now, with hindsight, hardly anyone's talking about Coutinho anymore, because why would you? We just beat Aside 5-0 there. You know, the goals are still flying in and everything else. But in terms of the transfers being done, I mean, since Klopp's been here, you know, you could probably say he's not actually signed that many players, and should he have signed more? And I think that's a valid argument to an extent. I think I would still say he's probably shown faith in some players that probably too much faith. I think other managers would have been more cutthroat, would have just, you know, would have got rid of the goalkeeper, for instance, probably would have done something else at centre half. But that's not Klopp's style. That's not his philosophy. You've seen him say it over and over again that he wants to do what he can do with the lads he's got. He wants to give them every chance. He wants to try and improve them. And on the signing side, yeah, you know, those lads you reference who we never hear from, they don't speak. I'm sure they're all sort of toasting their success right now,
and deservedly so.
And deservedly so. And you know, he catered to come as well. You know, his performances week by week still look great stuff for Leipzig, and we're all excited about his signing as well. That's going to improve us even further.
He's a goal and an assist last night as well.
Yeah.
Keita, you know, against Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich, who were unbeaten in 19, he turns up, he runs the show. As I said, goal and an assist. And this is another lad that, you know, where, just sorry to come across you, Gareth, but it's just one where Liverpool haven't compromised on quality, so they didn't panic last summer and go, we need Keita now, we have to have him. The same with Van Dijk. No, we know he's the right lad, and we're all right. We're a decent side, and we'll get by. But next season we've got him. We've got Van Dijk for next season, and £150 million from the bank from January. So this transfer policy is unwavering with Liverpool now. It's quality or nothing. It's not. I understand why Rafa Benitez was doing it, but I've seen about 15 right backs, none of which were good enough in his tenure as Liverpool manager, where Jurgen Klopp is the other way, and he'll only accept what he deems to be good enough to bridge that gap to Manchester City, which is what the aspiration is.
I think it's a little bit of a shame that, you know, we have been sort of hurt so much by what's happened in the past, and we're still sort of held by it a little bit as a group of fans, because, you know, you saw people at the weekend, and Chris Basco mentioned it in his match report as well, that, you know, you still got people who they almost can't enjoy it. You know what I mean? You've just battered aside. You've got a player there who scored 4 goals and looked fantastic. And the first thing out of a lot of people's mouths is, oh, well, we're definitely going to sell him then. And it's like, you know, at some point you've got to let that go. At some point you've got to, we will hold the owners to account if they are visibly taking the piss. I think we've proven that in the past. But right now, you know, just enjoy yourselves. You know, we're at the business end of a season, and we're in the thick of it. You know, I still think we can finish second in the league. I don't see why people are writing that off. Yeah. You know, you've got City to look forward to in the Champions League as well. Everyone's firing, everyone's fit. It's fantastic to watch. And yet you've still got people going, oh, well, you know, this lad's getting 40-odd goals this season. We're obviously going to sell him. I've just read the book, and I just read the book called The Power of Now, and I've referenced this before, but, you know, do what that book is telling you. Live in the now. Stop worrying about, A, what happened in the past. You can't change it. It's not going away. And B, we don't know what's happening in the future. We don't know how rigid Liverpool will be. We don't know what contract they'll put in front of Mo's face and whether he signs it or not. Yeah. All things to be sorted, all things that should be sorted, all conversations that should be have taking place right now at Liverpool. But just honestly, just enjoy yourselves right now. It's all right, you know.
The thing for me is as well, it's the harmonious nature of Liverpool at the moment.
Yeah, we're not a crisis club, and we're not going to be, whatever happens.
But the thing is, you look at Chelsea. There's no love going on there with the manager and the situation. You can imagine there's change there in the summer. Do they need time? You look at Manchester United, 12-minute press conferences, ripping aside, pulling young prospect left backs off at half time. There's no fun. There's no fun at these clubs. Arsenal.
I reckon Mourinho's enjoying making a show of Luke Shaw.
Well, he's enjoying that. Yeah, absolutely.
He's having a lovely time.
But you look at Arsenal as well. There's three sides out of our sort of rivals who are in disarray. Tottenham, they've got a real issue going on with with wages. They're not willing to pay it. Yes, they've got a lot to look forward to with the new ground, and they've got a great side. But there's issues with Liverpool at the moment. Of course, Manchester City are in a great place, and fair play to them. But this Liverpool and Manchester City are setting the tone now for the English clubs, in my opinion. I know we're not second in the league, but I do think that'll sort itself out after 38 games have been played. But for me, the fact that there's no pressure in terms of going into next season, is the manager going to be good enough? Or, if we don't get Champions League football, will he lose his job? Absolutely not. There's none of that. We're in a Champions League quarter final. We're adding players of his choice again. We're not sacrificing quality. You're looking at top midfielders from Italy. All these things are good. I don't think in my lifetime things have been so positive. There has been a stand built. They can go further, of course, but the books, all of this is right. We're not looking for another owner. I'm 30 years of age, and I don't remember this club ever pulling in the same direction as what it is.
It's because it hasn't since 1990, basically.
Well, this is it, yeah.
All right then. The goals all came at good times. Not only were they good goals, they came at good times. It wasn't quite as straightforward, Ian, as the scoreline suggests. Watford have a decent 30 minutes first half. You can most definitely say that Jordan Henderson has a genuinely terrible 10.
Yeah.
Which was entertaining in hindsight at the time. It was chew your knuckles territory. Though he had looked very neat, him and Chan, I think, had looked very neat prior to Chan's injury.
They had, yeah. I basically started the first 10 minutes looking at Henderson going, anybody who doesn't realise that when we play well, all the good stuff goes through Jordan, is ridiculously influential, is an idiot. And then spent the next 20 minutes going, what the hell are you doing? Because he did suddenly just turn off. He started off brilliantly, and then he turned off, and everything he did didn't happen for him. And it wasn't like he became a different player. He's the same Jordan Henderson, but the things he was trying weren't working at all. But he had started off as the absolute fulcrum of the side. We saw the best and worst of Jordan at exactly the same time. I think for the first 10 minutes, he is doing everything that you would want him to do as that number 6. And then for the next 20, he's next and waiting to happen.
Paul, it was. I think it's probably from about 20, 25. I think it's around when Chan goes off a little bit after that, when it really, really falls apart for him. It's a genuinely terrible, like, as I say, you get to laugh at it in a 5-0 win. If Watford had made it 1-1 and it had become a sticky afternoon, you wouldn't be laughing that much.
Yeah, I was almost blaming myself on the ground for it, because I was actually referencing how well he'd started. It was nice to see him back on the pitch. This is what we probably should have seen the game before, and then he just has an absolute 10 minutes of madness. I mean, if he wants to turn around and say I was just freezing, that would be a perfectly valid argument, because I was as well. No, but it was when you say about Emre Can going off, he struggled to adjust, I think, to when Milner came on, but it was almost like it was a game of just give them the ball for 10 minutes. But I think he recovered all right in the second half, but he didn't hit as high as of the first 25 minutes.
It's a funny thing with the midfield, Gareth, because we've just literally spent 25 minutes praising the lad who plays off the right wing. We could do the same for Firmino. You mentioned we haven't even talked about his goal. We'll come on to that in a minute. We're going to say that Mane, I thought, looked great. And I think we're used to Liverpool teams, and you think historically, you think Benitez, you think Houllier, even Rodgers with, when he had Gerrard in there, and we were all praising Gerrard's performance. Benitez, Gerrard, Alonso, Mascherano, Houllier, Gerrard, I could go on. Gerrard, Gary McAllister, Didier Mann. You then go further back again, you think about the way people talk rightly about Graham Souness, the way in which people talk about Whelan and McMahon. For the first, this is a bit of a Liverpool midfield that sort of doesn't want to be talked about. It's meant to almost just get out the way a little bit, isn't it? It's very Ferguson halfway through the previous decade when they were winning all sorts and you couldn't really say who the 3 in centre mid were. Carrick was one of them. This is very much like, lads, your job is just to get the ball back off them and give it to the boss lads.
Yeah, and basically Henderson said that as well after the match, that they were trying to obviously pin him down with comparisons to Suarez and whose 4 goals were the better. Suarez is against Norwich, or those ones there. It's not. It is Norwich by a million miles. But they're trying to get lines out of him, obviously, and he obviously knew that. But the direction he took it to get away from all that was to say, look, because they asked about Coutinho as well, and he just said, look, the reason we're not missing him is because of those boss lads. And he almost said that. He just said, we go into matches now knowing that if we defend well enough, they'll just score goals, and that was it. And so it's this idea of shining as a midfielder in this current setup, you're probably not really going to because you're not expected to. It's not your job. You know, you're
certainly not at home to Watford.
No. I mean, Klopp doesn't want, those lads bombing forward and getting involved and putting one in the top bin. It's give it to the lads who can do that regularly. Don't start smashing things from 30 yards when you've got lads who can just skin everyone in the box and put it in.
I think it was Saturday morning, Henderson actually said that. He said his nature is to get forward and have a shot, and he's like, that's not what this team's for. We've got the 3 lads up front who do that. Yeah, he's actually come out and literally said exactly that.
Yeah, I mean, these lads are just designed to facilitate what's going on ahead of them, aren't they? And that's the only thing I'd say is, obviously, we just talked about Naby Keita briefly. That's not what he's going to be about. So I don't know whether he needs to adjust or this is actually something
a leap forward.
Looking forward.
We've seen Oxlade-Chamberlain join and Milner's joined well in recent weeks. I think it's the idea people can join and get involved. But there are days and there are times where it is just, listen, lads, you're there to make sure they get the ball as early as possible in the best possible areas. Can you do that for me? Great.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure that'll take some adjusting for Naby Keita as well. This has been a lad who is the big fish in a relatively small pond at Leipzig. So he'll need to adjust to coming into a side which is, I'd say all of them are pretty unselfish. It's all about the one team goal, and it sounds a bit like modern think, that, doesn't it? But I do genuinely believe that's how this side is. I mean, if there's an easier ball on that guarantees a goal, even with Mo Salah chasing the golden boot, he'll give it. So
he was desperate to give one to Ings, wasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then obviously comes out as the main beneficiary of that. But this is all great. I mean, I thought Wijnaldum was a great game. I really did. When he was on, I thought he just kept the ball ticking, pulls you out of tight situations sometimes. I mean, there was a period before the second goal where you thought Liverpool could have been under a little bit of pressure. Watford seemed to be growing back into it, maybe by design and a few loose passes from Henderson and the like. But I thought Wijnaldum stood out, and then when Milner came on again, I thought he did really well. So the midfield isn't, there's no Paul Scholes in it, there's no Steven Gerrard in it that's really going to be banging them in from 30, 35 yards. And you're talking about their goal that day, or everyone's not looking to them like they did Coutinho. But they're allowing the other lads unselfishly to do the job they're doing, and long may that continue.
On the other lads, Ian, Firmino and Mane, you mentioned before, interchanging well. It's noticeable for me, Mane getting more and more central, but also I think he's coming to the boil now in that role. Both in terms, it could be that he's getting used to the role, but it also just could be in terms of his own performance. There was a quality and a directness to him. I thought he was excellent. I think, if Salah only scores 2 and the other goals are spread out and we win 5-0, people are coming away saying, you know what, Mane might have been man of the match there. I thought he was terrific.
Yeah, I thought he had an excellent game, quietly excellent. The way he's dropping from the wing and dropping deep, and he played the same ball at least twice over the top. Once it drops to Danny Ings, he has the shot on target. I think the other one was to Salah, who had just broken and was offside. But that same little flick over the back four into the penalty area, he played that a couple of times, and that was the ball Coutinho was playing at the beginning of the season quite a bit. So he's dropping into that number 10 role. It looks like, I think what we've got a team that is evolving to have each of these players be multifunctional, because he can still do the wing, but you're not seeing the explosive Sadio Mane at the moment. You're seeing a much more considered footballer. You're seeing him playing. It's been noticeable, probably the last 6 weeks, how he's been drifting into the centre, and his drifting into the centre has seen his form start to increase. So where we were seeing him as an out-of-form player, probably 10 of the year, we've moved him a little bit. We've got Andy Robbo bombing past him. So we've got Robbo basically playing as a left winger. So Sadio can pull inside and he can be more of a central threat.
It looks like he's enjoying himself as well, doesn't he? I think which is key as well. I mean,
possibly less responsibility for him. He can express himself.
I think, a lot was made of him struggling a little bit with his form, and something obviously did go on. I mean, Klopp referenced that they'd had a sit down and that sort of thing. You go back to the Everton game and when he doesn't square it and all that sort of stuff. And I think he did go through a little bit of a confidence crisis, but he's definitely emerged the other side of that. I think you made the point on another show, Neil, recently, and I thought it was spot on about when you said that he can look scruffy at times. Like he's not the silkiest footballer you've ever seen, but he doesn't need to be. And I think sometimes that can play into your mind a little bit about how good has he been playing. Almost that, his touch sometimes isn't absolutely amazing and things like that. But yeah, he was. I thought he had a good game, and but those balls that he was playing from deeper was spot on. You know, they were finding the man. As I said before, you know, he finds Salah at first couple of minutes, and it's a decent chance. But it's almost like it's definitely something they played on because he's hitting an area and Mo knows to arrive there. It goes back to stuff. Remember years ago, one of the best passes I ever seen was Beardsley to Houghton, and he swivels on it and plays like a 30-yard pass almost over his shoulder, and he doesn't look, and Houghton runs onto it and puts it in, and it was a case of Houghton knew what he was going to do. Beardsley knew where Houghton was going to be, and they just did it. And that type of understanding, I think you're starting to see that in this Liverpool side.
What was it? I could be wrong on this. I've rewatched it a couple of times and I can't remember. But for the cross from Robbo to Mo for the second goal, is it Sadio that plays the 1-2 with him? I can't remember who plays the 1-2 in the middle. I've got a feeling it's Sadio.
Robertson, Mane puts Robertson in.
So he's directly involved in the first two goals.
Yeah, no,
Straight ball up by Robertson.
It's a lovely ball. We'll come on to him in a minute, but it is a lovely ball. I think that the other thing about him, it's interesting when Gareth saying that about blind passes and stuff like that. He whips a ball in, I think, later on with his left foot from the left-hand side where he's aiming for Salah back post in the first half, Paul, and he just overhits it, but it's the idea of, I know you'll be there. I think Robertson's done the same thing with his cross. He's like, if I just put, it's one of their crosses anyway. It's a gorgeous cross, but it is the idea of, I know that you'll be there. You'll be somewhere around that sort of point if this leaves my foot.
Yeah, I've seen strikers in the past as well that I think have frustrated me because why don't they attack the back post? When we've had, I don't know, Fab Aurelio or players like that who can put a ball on the sixpence, why aren't you attacking the areas that these can penetrate? And I think the nature of the way we're set up, I was referencing earlier about this narrow front three, Mo's right of that, and he's fast enough. I think it is key to get on the ends of these crosses. He can bomb in and arrive late, or he can just be well positioned, or he can peel off or whatever. And the thing is, the quality of the supplies improved so much, hasn't it? So, I thought Alberto Moreno was doing really well until Robertson had form, and then that's not putting the job down that he's done. But Robertson's come in and added these crosses.
He was terrific all game, Paul.
Oh, he was, yeah. And to be fair, I think Gomez was as well. But Robertson is a standout at the moment. Again, you talk about the transfer committee, and everyone's talking about how well they're buying forwards. 10 million quid from a side that got relegated. And you bring him into a side that's got aspirations to win the league. It's ballsy, and
basically swapping for Kev Stewart.
Well, yeah, there is that, but it's such a step up. If you told me I thought Andy Robertson was this good when you signed him, I didn't know what to expect.
They're doing their own work, aren't they? It goes without saying, because that's literally what the job is. But you know what I mean? Like a lot of the times, we've all maybe at different times got sniffy about, the way they go about it and what we know about it. We don't know enough about it is probably half the problem. And it goes back to the idea before of never speaking and never really communicating on how some of it works. But I wrote something the other week, and while I was researching the article, I ended up down, you'd end up down mad wormholes on the internet, reading stuff that you don't even know why you're reading it. I ended up reading this thing about Barry Hunter, and I don't even know what the fella looks like. Do you know what I mean? And he's been kicking around at Liverpool for a while.
He's at Man City before Liverpool.
Yeah, and it was about that. It was about when he was at Man City, and it was about the work he did when City were trying to sign Sanchez. And it was about, what he looked into. And it was, you're not just looking at like the raw stats of goal scoring or assists or away from home. Does he do it there and all that sort of stuff. It was lifestyle and, hobbies and like, was he last off the training pitch and all kind of, and some ridiculously number of pages wide dossier was produced.
These are things you used to hear about with like Shankly and Jeff Twentyman and stuff like that. You know, I know there's sayings where it sort of puts that all down to is he a Liverpool player? Is he a winner? But I think they very much do embrace what are these? Are these good lads? Can they come into this group dynamic that we've got here of nice lads? No big stars.
Will Ian spend 3 months learning his trade? Because as much as we talked about Moreno in the season, and when he gets his chance, Robertson takes it, and it is off the back of a Moreno injury. But Robertson there has been very patient. He spent 3 months learning his trade, working very hard. I'm sure he's getting shown all the DVDs in the world. Has to think about it, and this is back to the idea that the scouting personalities as well. Yeah. They've got themselves a lad who's and all reports are that he's perfectly that he's a smart lad. He knows what he's about.
Yeah, and he basically spends a month in between European games after coming on for his debut and being man of the match in his debut. He doesn't even appear on the bench for about a month. So it's clear that we're holding him back and we're actually teaching him what Liverpool is and what his role is going to be. And again, I think it's part of the evolution of the team. You know, talking about Naby Keita coming in before, we could be looking at the point where we have two anonymous players and then we've got this lad who bombs forward. We could be changing shape again. But I think the other thing that's telling is, from what we were talking about a second ago, you read Mel's piece about when we were scouting Firmino. We scouted Firmino for a decade. Our scouting department knows what they're looking at and they know exactly who they're buying. And the Andy Robertson signing, you're buying this lad who is very, very balanced, has got the talent to do it, has also got the attitude to sit back and learn his role and won't become frustrated because he knows where he's going to be.
The other person to mention in the attack, and it's a data focus on the attack after a 5-0 win, is the substitute. Danny Ings comes on, Paul, and there was an excellent piece by Alex Hess for 442 about the idea of covering your centre forward second choice strikers that Alex wrote last week. It's well worth reading, and we'll tweet it out at some point, so that people who are listening to this can have a read of it if they haven't had the chance already, Paul. But one of the things that you are beginning to think watching Ings play at the minute is, having sort of concluded there might not be a future for him at Liverpool, you're beginning to think there's actually a path here. There's a path here where Liverpool's recruitment remains focused, sharp, smart, and simultaneously Ings is able to offer something from the bench in certain games at different times. You can begin to imagine it for the first time, I think, in the last 2 years.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's been injured for the most of that time, I suppose.
Well, that's a massive part.
Yeah,
of it.
yeah, of course. But no, what you see of him off the bench is a lad that sort of does almost like a budget version of what Roberto Firmino can do, I suppose. He plays off the shoulder really well, I feel. But we were talking about him the other day, Neil, and I think what people forget about him is that it was Phil Bundle I was talking with about it. He plays almost like a number 10 off. I think it was it Sam Vokes or no, Charlie Austin.
Austin and Vokes, I think,
at Burnley. So he's got a little bit about him in terms of technical ability and whatnot. But obviously, I mean, he gets injured the day Klopp comes into the club, and then there was a number of people who felt, you know, after his derby goal, that he's a Klopp player, it's a real shame. And then you sort of, when you keep adding to the front line, so obviously Mane's come in since that moment, and then Salah's come in since that moment, and then he almost becomes like, well, he was never that good. He's not good enough to come into this front three now. But then you can actually see why Liverpool have sort of persisted with him and why maybe they let Sturridge go and kept hold of him, despite both of them having injury problems. And when you come on the other day, you go, do you know what? If that Bournemouth game, for example, around Manchester City, if things are going well for Liverpool, whatnot, if you need to call on Danny Ings, he's actually a really viable option. So in the way where I don't think Solanke is yet, you know. So I think it maybe Ings is now, with his fitness, has got ahead of Solanke. Looks like the number 2 for the sort of number 9 role. So yeah, fair play to him. I thought he impressed when he came on the other day, and it's good to have the option.
It's not just the idea of what Solanke isn't yet, Gareth. It's also, it's very hard, as the Alex Hess article cites Llorente going to Spurs, and the fact that Kane gets injured, he suddenly gets called on, everyone's going, come on then, you're boss, and he's sort of a bit stuck. I might not be that good, or he's lost his sharpness, or all of that. One of the things you're thinking here is that Liverpool may, you know, it's easier probably to cover or to find alternates and proper competition with Salah and Mane to a certain extent than it is maybe with Firmino. I mean, you know, put aside the fact that Salah's got 30 odd goals, but my point is more, Firmino's going to want to play every week. He's so integral. You don't get a lad who's almost as good as Firmino, is my point. Because that lad who's almost as good as Firmino, if he's like 90% as good as Firmino, he's more than good enough to start up front for Arsenal. Yeah,
exactly. And we've got to remember, you know, as well as sort of being part of a squad or whatever, these lads only get one football career. And it's all well and good going on about, you know, how much they earn every week and all that sort of stuff, which is a continual conversation. But they'll want first team football. They'll want to win medals. They'll want to be centre stage. And look, some of them, you know, it won't work out for them at Liverpool. It is really hard being the undercard almost to the star actor, if you like. And Firmino has been that. I mean, it's the most goals he's scored in his career in one season now, and the goal to get it's absolutely fantastic as well. Another moment of brilliant skill. So if you're Ings looking at that, you're just like, well, where do I get to go here? What I would say is that all of a sudden now he looks a lot closer to it. You know, I was quite impressed by his cameo, and I think if you think it's not that long ago where he was just knocking around playing for the under-23s all the time, and like there were games, there were opportunities, there were competitions where you thought that could be one where Ings came in, and he never ever came in, and you thought it doesn't look good for you here, mate. But right now, I thought he looked really hungry, really sharp there, unlucky not to score. And I'd say, you know, looking at it now, you know, you got the derby in between the two City games. I don't think it's unreasonable to suggest that he could play in that, you know, and then maybe you pull out for me, you know, ready, fit for the second leg against City. But yeah, it must be difficult for him because, you know, he's arrived at a club at Liverpool. He's had all the problems with injuries. That in itself is absolute hell as well. I mean, you know, to be injured out once, but then to do it twice, to have the mental strength to come back from that, is you know, shows that he's got the character. So now has he got the ability? Well, we'll see. But I think he's going to get a little go somewhere in between now and the end of the season. He's just got to take that opportunity. I mean, Solanke had his chances, if you like. It'll come again. But as Paul says, don't feel like right now you're dropping him in. Ings is ahead of him, but Ings needs to take the chance when he gets in. He could do with keepers not having worldies against him every time he comes on, to be fair.
Yeah, I think Ings is an excellent squad player to have at the moment because it is a case of being able to say to him, look, you know, we're as big a club as you're ever going to play for. You're not going to go to another top four club. If you step away from Liverpool, your step is going to be a step down. You know, not being disrespectful to the lad. But he's got quality, he's got ability. We've seen how much pace and energy he's got. And maybe that's just a case of all this time he was only playing in the under-23s. He was actually just being managed back to the full fitness he needs to be able to make an impact from the bench. At the moment, he looks like he can make an impact. And he is 2 goalkeepers away from having 3 goals in his last 2 games. And one of those becomes an assist by default anyway to Mo. So he's got quality. He also looks like he can, you know, if you take the fact that, as you said, no one who's 90% Bobby Firmino is coming to the club because they might be 90% Bobby Firmino, but they're going to get 30% of his games. But if Danny Ings...
The only way to do that is to pay them. You know, because I remember Rafa saying this, you know, it's all well and good, people going on having big squads and having options off the bench and all this. The only way you can keep some of them happy at least, it is money. And Klopp isn't interested in... Klopp Klopp's basically said he's not interested in the players that put money top of their agenda. No. So you know, there's another thing. But what I'd say about Ings is he feels like he fits in. So you know, he seems like he's popular with the players. Yeah. He gets his name sang every time he comes on the pitch by us weirdo fans, and we are weird. We know there's some
despite
players,
the lads who haven't got songs.
Well, that's what I mean. And so the fact that he's got a song, that will help. He'll feel like he's a part of the club. And then you see little videos and little insights into the training ground and stuff like that. He seems to be friendly with people. He seems to get on with them. Klopp obviously likes him as well. So I think there is a future for him there, but he's sort of going to have to accept the bit part role, isn't it?
Yeah, which can be fine. You know, there's lots of players who've accepted bit part roles over the years. You know, to an extent, Gary Gillespie was a bit part player for a long time. We've had bit part forwards who sat behind the likes of Russian Dalglish. Yeah, there are names that have contributed who were never as big. You know, the likes of Paul Walsh, who you thought was going to be a massive player. Players who were never quite as big for you as you thought they were going to be. They contributed, but at the moment you're sitting there with Danny Ings saying, well, you know, you could actually get a bit of a run out in the European Cup final. That could happen for you. Who else is going to offer you that? And if he's happy to play at that level and just get, you know, as he's getting more and more to full fitness and back to the sharpness that we know he had when we bought him, he could be playing the cup games. He could get, you know, half an hour at the end of a league game. And some players will go, well, you know, that's it. At the moment, he reminds me a lot of Peter Crouch, because he's on that run the Crouch had when he first came to us, where he didn't score for like 25 games, whatever it is, and he's having that same run of luck, and it's going to come for him, it's going to turn.
The other thing is the idea of planning a summer, Paul, which we know they're doing now. I mean, when we talk about the way they're going, we can see that they've gone about the transfer business. We know they're doing that now. And if you are Klopp, you know, you're probably thinking Salah can play centrally for me, lead the line, Mane to a certain extent, maybe a little bit deeper. If you've got Ings there, you know, you've got a plan for the idea that at some point Roberto Firmino will get an injury because it's the nature of football. It may well be that the way home in the summer isn't the idea of backing up Firmino purely. It might be that the idea is backing up Mane and Salah and then being able to say, right, well, they're backed up. give them genuine quality, genuine competition for places, young prospects, hungry footballers, but you've got Ings as well, who can then find his way through to 20, 25 appearances a season.
Yeah, and that might just be enough for him in this moment in time. Looking at next season, and maybe he does. There's that thing in life, isn't it, where do you want to be a small part of something big or a big part of something small? So I think he'll have that in mind, Ings. But in terms of the recruitment side of things, I think you might be right. You see what I've noticed with sides at the moment, and I know Chelsea have sort of been hammered for it, but they look to get the best 11 on the pitch and find a way. So you've seen Hazard playing that sort of false nine role, because I think Conte's just gone, well, I just want the best 11 lads I've got to be on the pitch, and I'll just find a system to work. I wouldn't be that surprised if Klopp just moved Salah central, if they brought someone in. But again, I don't think Liverpool will be compromising on targets. You've seen the lad from Leipzig, Timo Werner, being linked with Liverpool for the summer. That's a player of a good quality.
Who is also a centre forward by trade at the minute.
Yeah, absolutely. So that tells me that he probably knows that he's running Firmino too much, and he's probably aware of the fact he probably can't get away with it again. We'll learn that lesson from not this season but last, where we've overrun lads and it's blown up in our face. This season we've been, touch wood, reasonably fortunate with the fitness to our front three.
But the other thing we know, Paul, and I'm going to come on to talk about the league table now, the other thing we know is if we're going to win this league, we're going to have to be able to get 90 points. And I'm going to be talking about this on the review show with Sean Rogers today. To win this league, Man City aren't going to slow down much. They might slow down a bit, but they're not going to slow down much. And looking at the table as it is now, we're in really good shape. We've been playing really, really well, but we've got, the international break tells us now the story that we've done part one of the two-part job before Spurs and Chelsea next play the league game against each other. They've now got lovely, big, distracting semi-finals. So have United. That weekend, by the way, when they play their semi-finals, we're at West Brom. Points on the board always outrank games in hand.
Reduces pressure as well.
And we're about as well set as we can be.
Yeah, that's it. So, yeah, I mean, that's lovely, and we're trying to do that with Chelsea at the moment. Just on that, the Werner thing, I suppose, is that if you the game for next season is to think Manchester City, can they be as good as what they've been again this year? I would be of the opinion that they probably can be that good. So yeah, 90 points is the target. But what I'll stand back to with this Liverpool side, maybe it's only the real weakness I've seen of it this year, is when the Swansea manager Carvajal says about putting the Formula One car in London traffic, and having, I don't know, a Timo Werner, a more natural sort of number 9, whatever that may be judged as nowadays, is just a different option as well, a different style, probably a replacement for what he thought he maybe had coming into this season with Sturridge. Time proved that you probably couldn't rely upon him, but I think he probably knows he needs something slightly different for them games, or if he wants to actually go and win a League Cup or an FA Cup, or there's games in the Champions League, maybe we've progressed early, there'll be enough games for Timo Werner to come in and make a difference, is what I'm saying, that you can sell enough games where, look how competitive we are, we're not looking at many outs, there's not being that many rumoured for the summer to leave, so we're building this big squad, the owners are backing us with the wages for that. So yeah, come in, make a difference, add to this already fantastic squad, your teammates coming in, these are all good things, We'll be having a big chat about the future, obviously, across all of the Anfield Wrap's player throughout the next weeks and months. Obviously, one big eye on the Man City game, and we are part of an event with the official supporters club in Merseyside on Friday the 23rd of March, 7:30 at the Reds Lounge in the Kenny Dalglish stand. Entry fees £1. It'll be welcomed. You'll be welcomed by Tony Barrett. What's a Tony Barrett welcome like, Robbo?
Well, I think it probably depends
who you are.
Yeah, who you are. I normally get one that constitutes some kind of abuse.
Or demand.
Abuse or demand, yeah. Like he demands toast every time he comes anywhere near the Anfield Wrap, for instance. And yeah, it's normally involves some abuse around, being from Aiton or what I'm wearing or something I've said, But yeah, he's got it in him to be nice.
He's got it in him to be nice, so maybe he will be on the 23rd of March at 7:30 at Anfield.
Sounds lovely.
We're hosting the event. There'll be a Q&A with Gary McAllister. We'll have a lovely chat. I'm going down. John Gibbons will be there. Mike Nevin will be there. We're having a lovely chat about the Reds. I'm looking forward towards the future. There's also a raffle and a birthday cake, if that's what sways you when the other bits haven't. That's all available for you. That is the 23rd of March from 7:30. Really, really looking forward to it. Listen, thank you very much to Liverpool for scoring 5 goals and Mo Salah for scoring 4. Gareth Roberts, Ian Salmon and Paul Senior. That, in association with Redbet, is the Anfield Wrap.